Just a bit of background on myself. Firstly, my name's Philip. I'm 24 years of age and I graduated BIS in 2019. So in school, I was interested in subjects like maths, physics, and applied maths, and I actually had engineering on my CAO for my first choice and ended up getting that and starting engineering in UCC. But before I actually started, I kind of came to the realization that I wanted to be in a course that was more to do with the technology and business sector. So within my first month of engineering, I actually switched to BIS. And I've been delighted and haven't regretted my decision ever since. So yeah, my 4 years in BIS, I enjoyed every minute of it. I think what I like most about BIS is, like Joe said earlier, it's such a broad subject matter that we learn about. So for example, you could be on a Monday morning in an accounting lecture at 9 a.m. and that evening you could be learning about JavaScript programming. So they're very just different subjects, and it really gives you an extensive knowledge that you can kind of implement and use and draw on in so many different types of jobs or career paths that you want to go into. As well, with this kind of broad subject matter that BIS has, it also brings in quite a good mix of people. So you have people coming from all different backgrounds all over the country. Some people are really interested in coding, have actually experienced coding before going into BIS. And then on the other end of the scale, you have people who are just more interested in the business side of the course, have absolutely no knowledge of coding. I was actually in that group. But the good thing about that is, you can all bounce ideas off each other. You can see how people's kind of college path changes as they move through the course, and obviously after you can see how everyone moves into different career paths. So yeah, my first 2 years were great. Like I said, I had no experience with coding, so I did find it daunting. The idea of me having to learn from scratch something like JavaScript or Visual Basic, which is what we learned. But I think, like Aoife said, everything is taught with relation to coding from a beginner's perspective, and the faculty is there for you every step of the way to kind of develop your skill set. So once I was in third year, I secured a placement with State Street Corporation in Boston, in the US. So I got the opportunity to move to Massachusetts in March of 2018 and live there for 6 months and work there in the State Street Global headquarters, which was an incredibly positive experience, both in terms of my professional development, but also my personal development. It's a random group of students that get the opportunity to go over to America, for example, and you're all kind of thrown in together, and you kind of just have to make the best of the people around you, and that's a really great way to kind of develop your character personally. And in terms of your professional development, the placement programs that are available to students of BIS are just, they're so great, and just can really set you on a great career path before you even finish your college degree. So just to give a bit more of an understanding of what I actually did on placement, State Street is a custodial bank. So what they do is they handle the movement of large amounts of assets, basically globally. So if, for example, you wanted to buy a large amount of Google stock and your local broker wasn't able to facilitate that, they could use State Street's network to actually be able to facilitate that for you. So I was part of the data governance team within State Street, and what we were responsible for was to streamline many of the kind of old and archaic reporting processes that the various different teams within the business used. So many of them would use basic Excel sheets to create monthly reports, whereas my team used tools like Python, which is a coding language, and Tableau, which is a data visualization software. And what we did is we used those tools to kind of automate the reporting processes and make them more visual and give the teams in the company a better insight into their data. So yeah, that was a really great experience. Going into it, I found presenting extremely challenging, and that was one thing that I wanted to work on. So I actually spoke with my manager about that, and throughout the 6 months I got the opportunity to make presentations in company lunch and learns where there was, you know, quite large crowds, and I did find it extremely daunting, but because of kind of my experience in BIS thus far and having to talk to people in lectures, having to talk to people in the coffee mornings, I was able to put myself out of my comfort zone and actually develop my, I suppose, presenting skill set. So yeah, the placement program was just a hugely positive experience, and once that finished, returned to Ireland in September and into my final year. For my final year project, again, I found that daunting to reiterate what the girls said earlier, but the faculty meet with you every week and take you through a process on how you can make I suppose small iterative processes throughout the couple of months in college, so that you can actually get a fully fledged project complete. And yeah, so what I did was I did an online election voting system, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. So at the time, like Bitcoin and blockchain, the technology that underlies it was getting quite popular, so I wanted to put that system on the blockchain. So that's what I actually did, and you know, I was really happy with the results that I got, and you know, it was hugely valuable to get that project complete and go through that journey of building something from scratch for yourself, because you can really draw upon that when you're doing job interviews, for example. It's almost as if you have so much more experience, real world experience, than other people from other courses that are applying for the same jobs. So that's what I'd say is hugely valuable about both the FYP and the placement program. It just makes it a lot easier in the interview process after you graduate to actually secure the position or the role that you want. So after I finished my final year, I went traveling. I went to Vancouver for the summer. I just worked a random job there, and I returned home at the end of the summer in September, graduated in October, a normal physical graduation because this was back in 2019. And when I came home, I also applied for a technology analyst consulting role in Accenture, and I was successful in getting that position, and I had a start date of March 2020. So I was all prepared to start my basically dream job, I would say, in Accenture, go up to the office. I'd secured a an apartment or a room in a house rather, and obviously the COVID pandemic hit. So what they did was they sent us laptops down. We were still able to start in Accenture, which was a big positive in the situation at the time. So I continued to work in Accenture from there for about 18 months. And obviously we were going in and out of lockdowns at the time. So I had quite a lot of spare time, and I wanted to try and kind of make use of that while I could. So I began kind of meeting up with my cousin, who's also a BIS graduate. He graduated the year after me, and we decided that we wanted to start some form of business. So we spent a month or two thinking of different ideas that we could work on, and at the same time we were both working full time. He was working in Zendesk, I was still working in Accenture. But what we decided to do was, because of the COVID pandemic and because there was actually the HSE cyber attack at the time, within maternity wards, a lot of expectant parents and expectant mothers primarily weren't able to get access to what's called antenatal education. Now, this type of education is just classes and content to help expectant parents to actually prepare for their transition to parenthood. So because people weren't getting access to these classes, because they couldn't attend physical classes because of the cyber attack and the pandemic, we decided to try and design our own classes with the help of a local midwife, and we decided to try and create an online platform for expectant parents to actually attend classes, get the same benefit out of these antenatal classes that they would in a physical class. And yeah, we set up a business called the Happy Baby Class. So we set that up in June of 2021 and worked on it. It coincided with my work, so a lot of the work was done after work and on weekends. And we set up classes random in Ireland for a couple of months, and I actually finished working in Accenture then to go full-time working on the business in September of 2021. So since then, I've been working full-time. Pierce kept his job and kept working until this month. He's actually quit his job now, handed in his notice, and is working full-time on the business too. And we've actually set up in Ireland, and we've also set up in the UK, and we've expansion plans for the US, Canada, and Australia for this year. So yeah, basically I think how we were successful in kind of being able to set up this business was the fact that we learned in our BIS degrees how to research different kind of tools, different processes that are essential for starting a business. And we were able to kind of piece those together and kind of follow a similar process to the process that each of us would have followed while we were doing our FYP, for example, to actually develop and kind of increment the business until it was viable for us to finish our jobs and work full-time on. And I think that without the experiences that I've had in BIS, particularly on placement and doing my FYP, I don't think it really would have been possible for us to have the ability to actually do what we've done. So we're really happy that we did pick this course, and I think both of us, speaking for both of us, we would both recommend BIS to anyone that was thinking of actually putting it down on their CAO. Or if anyone was really, apprehensive about, whether they don't have coding experience or whether they're not really that invested in technology or interested in technology, you can take it from my point of view that it really isn't a huge barrier, and the BIS faculty will be there for you the whole way you go through from your first year to your final year and your graduation. So yeah, that's my story, I suppose. And yeah, like I said, I'd recommend the course to anyone.